North Dakota is no stranger to brutal winters, but the storm that hit in December 2025 was something else entirely. Locally, people are already calling it the Great Prairie Burial, and for good reason. It shattered weather records that had stood for over 50 years. This wasn't just a heavy snowstorm. It was a meteorological perfect storm. A massive Colorado low surged north with incredible speed, slamming into a stagnant, ultra-cold Arctic vortex sitting right on the Canadian border. The result? A pressure cooker that dumped historic levels of snow across the state. In less than 96 hours, parts of the Red River Valley reported staggering accumulations, with some areas seeing between 40 and 55 inches. But the snow was only half the story. The storm underwent bombogenesis, meaning the central pressure dropped so fast, 26 millibars in under a day, that it effectively transformed from a standard winter system into a winter hurricane. We're talking sustained winds of 55 miles per hour, with gusts in the open prairie peaking at a terrifying 82 miles per hour. That combination of falling snow and existing powder being whipped back into the air created total ground blizzard conditions. For 48 straight hours, visibility was at absolute zero. At that point, any travel, even just walking outside, was potentially fatal. The situation was so dire that the North Dakota Department of Transportation took an unprecedented step. They shut down every major artery in the state at the same time. By December 17th, the entire 350-mile stretch of Interstate 94 from Montana all the way to Fargo was closed. Interstate 29 followed suit, shutting down from the South Dakota border up to the Canadian line. For the first time in memory, the state was effectively cut off from the rest of the world. Even with the state effectively locked down, hundreds of motorists were caught in the early hours of the storm. The North Dakota National Guard had to be deployed, using specialized tracked vehicles to reach families trapped in cars that were literally buried by the drifts. Air travel was impossible, too. Both Hector International in Fargo and Bismarck Municipal suspended all flights as the runways became indistinguishable from the open prairie. Out west, the state's ranchers faced a desperate struggle. The death chill wind speeds were so high that livestock were at risk of instant frostbite. There were even reports of snowdrifts reaching 20 feet high, literally tall enough for cattle to just walk right over 6-foot perimeter fences and vanish into the storm. The economic ripple effect was immediate. With rail lines blocked by massive drifts, the movement of grain and North Dakota's oil products ground to a total halt, sending a shockwave through North American energy and agricultural markets. At the peak of the storm, the infrastructure began to fail. Intense winds and heavy ice caused over 500 high-voltage transmission towers to buckle, leaving 60,000 residents in the dark as temperatures plummeted to 35 below zero. It became a life safety crisis. National Guard armories were quickly converted into emergency warming centers, kept running by industrial-grade generators as the state requested a federal disaster declaration from FEMA. The message from the North Dakota 511 system was blunt. Stay inside. If you leave your house, you may not be found until the thaw. As the system finally began moving toward the Great Lakes on December 20th, the true cost became clear. Preliminary estimates put the economic losses at over $900 million. And unfortunately, the danger isn't over. With this much snow sitting in the Red River Basin, meteorologists are already warning of a historic flood threat for the spring of 2026. If you're currently digging out, please be safe. Ensure your generator and vehicle exhaust pipes are clear of snow to prevent carbon monoxide poisoning, and don't attempt to clear flat roofs without professional help. As we look at the recovery efforts, it's critical to keep the buddy system going. Checking on neighbors and the elderly is literally a life-saving act right now. But while the city was digging out, a different kind of nightmare was unfolding on the I-29 corridor. Even though North Dakota drivers are some of the toughest in the world, what happened in late 2025 was unprecedented. A sudden white wall event occurred when a surge of Arctic air slammed into a plume of southern moisture. In less than 90 seconds, visibility went from clear enough to drive to a total blinding zero. The I-29 is the main artery for trade between the US and Canada, but in an instant it became a death trap. Out on the flat, open prairies, 75-mile-per-hour gusts whipped the snow into a vortex, completely erasing the road. It started when a commercial semi-truck, carrying heavy industrial equipment, hit a patch of black ice hidden under the powder. The rig jackknifed, blocking every single northbound lane. Within 2 minutes, the chain reaction began. Because the winds were howling so loudly, drivers just a few yards back couldn't even hear the crashes happening in front of them. One by one, vehicles slammed into the wreckage. By the time it was over, the pileup involved 65 vehicles, including 3 fuel tankers and a Greyhound bus. The bus flipped onto its side, trapping 22 passengers inside as the temperature outside plummeted to 25 below zero. Emergency crews from Grand Forks were desperate to reach the scene, but they were blocked by 4-foot snowdrifts at every emergency crossing. It took nearly 3 hours just to get the first ambulances to the site. When they finally arrived, responders had to use heavy-duty snowplows as physical shields just to protect the paramedics from incoming cars that were still unknowingly flying into the crash zone. As the storm reached its peak, the situation on the ground turned truly desperate. With life flight helicopters grounded by extreme turbulence and icing, the North Dakota National Guard had to step in. They deployed tracked snowcats to transport the critically injured, moving through the drifts like tanks in a frozen war zone. The human toll of this event is staggering. As of December 20th, officials have confirmed 12 deaths, including 3 children. Most were lost in the initial blunt force trauma of the highway pileups, but tragically, 2 victims succumbed to hypothermia while trapped in their vehicles, just out of reach of rescuers. Dozens more remain in intensive care in Grand Forks and Fargo, battling severe frostbite and internal injuries. Meanwhile, the city of Bismarck became the epicenter of a historic meteorological anomaly. A rare atmospheric block over Greenland forced a lobe of the polar vortex to drop directly into the Missouri River Valley. This created a stationary storm. It just sat there, churning through a moisture plume from the south and dumping a relentless, high-density snowfall. By the end of the window, Bismarck recorded a mind-blowing 42.5 inches of snow in just 72 hours, annihilating every December record in the book. But the snow wasn't the real enemy, it was the wind. Sustained speeds of 45 miles per hour, with gusts up to 65, pushed the wind chill down to a bone-chilling 58 degrees below zero. At those temperatures, exposed skin freezes in under 5 minutes. The city, usually bustling with holiday shoppers, went completely silent. The only sound was the wind howling through the legislative towers. At the airport, industrial blowers couldn't even keep up with the accumulation, leaving hundreds of travelers stranded in the terminal for 3 days straight, watching the world outside disappear into a wall of white. The unstoppable rescuers. In Bismarck and the surrounding Mandan metro area, the situation was so extreme that the Department of Transportation issued an official no-travel order. But here's how bad it really was. Even the heavy-duty snowplows, machines built to tackle the worst winters on Earth, were forced to retreat. Between December 17th and 18th, visibility dropped so low that plow operators couldn't even see the blades of their own trucks. Despite the brutal pressure on the infrastructure, the Montana-Dakota Utilities grid managed to hold up remarkably well. There were some temporary outages. About 5,000 homes in the northern suburbs lost power after transformer failures due to the extreme cold, but for the most part, the lights stayed on while the storm raged. However, with the streets completely buried, traditional ambulances were useless. The Bismarck Fire Department and the National Guard had to get creative, using specialized snowcats and massive Oshkosh tactical vehicles to reach people in need. One story from the peak of the storm is already becoming legendary. A National Guard unit received a call from a rural property outside Bismarck. A woman was in active labor and completely snowed in. Main County roads were blocked by massive 10-foot drifts, but the unit used their tactical vehicles to punch through the walls of snow, successfully getting her to Sanford Medical Center just in time. It's stories like these that remind us of the resilience of these communities. Whether you're in the city or up by the Horizon area, when a storm like this hits, it's the bravery of these responders and the neighbors looking out for each other that make the difference. Recent data from the December 18, 2025 event confirms that the NDDOT did indeed pull plows off the roads in central North Dakota due to those 80 miles per hour gusts. While the 42-inch snowfall record is a dramatic what-if for your script, the real-world no-travel order was 100% real due to the life-threatening wind and zero visibility. If you found this update helpful, please hit the like button, share with friends, and subscribe for more weather news. Stay safe out there.